Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, September 30th, last day of September. LA Galaxy have an El Trafico this week. We're going to get you ready for that game. LA Galaxy will be hopefully rebounding after another loss. 8-game winless streak, 3-game losing streak, a whole bunch of bad things. We're going to talk about them. We're going to tell you why it's not so bad, and we're not going to lie to you either. So it's not great, it's not bad, the whole deal. We want to talk about that RSL game for sure. It's going to be a large portion of all this, and as soon as the phone rings here, we're going to be joined by Mr. Landon Donovan, who will be getting a statue this weekend. So, yeah, I don't know. Why White Whale? We've talked about this. We'll talk about it a little bit more. To help me do all of that, he's back right now. It's Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well. Glad to be back. What a time to be alive. Obviously, with the Galaxy's current form, that's one thing to discuss. But, an El Trafico coming up on the weekend, that's exciting. Statue unveiling, that's exciting. And like you said, the White Whale. We may get to speak to the legend himself. LD, can't spell legend without LD. So exciting times. And like you said, we'll say, I know the chat was already talking about, getting close to the cliff. So we'll talk some people off the cliff, hopefully. And then maybe talk about some people who don't like that we like talking them off the cliff. We'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, there seems to be this I don't know, this anger, especially at me. It seems to be that, that like it's like I have anything to do with how the LA Galaxy play. I have. By the way, despite, however, I mean, one, I'm honored that you would think that I have that kind of pull, Eric. I mean, some people think that I can make lots of things happen. I can ask questions. That's about the extent of my power here. So I've always said, I'm not going to lie. If people remember 2017, we basically went through most of that season saying this Galaxy team is not good enough. They need to get rid of people. I still think they should have kept Cardinal longer than they did. But, having said all of that, it didn't work out. And that was a horrible year. 2020 was a horrible year. We didn't sugarcoat any of that either. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the LA Galaxy are better than they are. I think we thought maybe they were better than they are, Eric. They're not. And I think we've seen that. I'm also not going to tell you that the sky is falling right now. There are people who want to fire Greg Vanney right now. And I just want to know how hard they hit their head on something that they think another rebuild would be something that anybody would want to go through. I mean, if we take it at its simplest form, and we're going to get into the RSL game, there's good stuff, there's bad stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and it's a mixed bag, and we'll hear from Greg Vanney and sort of go through all that. But just take it at its basis form. If you fired a coach now, and it's a minority, I'm not saying it's a majority of people. If you fired Greg Vanney right now, you would have to get a new coach. You would have to get a new system. You might have to get new players again, which, by the way, the Galaxy just brought in 17 players in this season.
All with four-year contracts and 5-year contracts.
Yeah. So, you eventually have to stick with a plan, right? And GBS said he had a plan, and I don't know that he had a plan, and the whole deal.
Yeah.
So, however we look at that, and however we do that, it's one of those things where we sit there and say, the plan needs to work. let Greg Vanney have the time to get through that plan, and hopefully everything will go well. Now, I was going to let you speak, Eric, but we have a special guest on the line, so
I'll defer.
I'm going to pretend that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to hit the volume up, and we're going to see if we can do this. Joining us now on the phone, he's getting a statue this weekend. He's an LA Galaxy legend. This is, I said, my white whale, Mr. Landon Donovan. Landon, are you there, buddy?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, 100%. See, it's like
Sorry about that, Eric. You're gonna have to hold that thought.
You know what? I think if I'm going to defer to someone, I think I'm okay with this. I'll live with it.
Thank you.
Landon, first of all, thank you for coming on. I say a white whale, and I talked about you on this podcast before, but we've been doing this show for 13 seasons and covering the LA Galaxy. And I remember having conversations with Justin Pearson back in the day about how I could get you on the podcast. So it's been a while, and I'm glad that you reached out today, and I'm very excited for this weekend. I have to ask you, what does it feel like to approach this weekend knowing, there's a statue of you that's going to be out in front of the stadium, that people are coming specifically to see this? Is it a little bit of a trip?
Well, first of all, I'll answer your question in a sec. But first of all, you guys have done a great job for a long time, and I'm sorry this hasn't happened sooner. We'll blame it on Justin for the time being.
Perfect.
I appreciate all you guys have done, because as you guys know, the league hasn't always looked like what it does today. And so everybody involved along the way who built it and helped it get to this level deserves appreciation. So I'm really grateful for you guys, and thank you for having me on. As far as this weekend goes, it's a crazy weekend. Just in a lot of the people that are closest to me that I love will be there all through the weekend. A lot of former teammates that I love who honestly were so instrumental in making something like this happen will be there. And then mixed in my now new love, which is coaching, we're actually playing the Galaxy 2 on Saturday night as well. So there's a lot to manage and handle emotionally, and then logistically, and then also doing my job as a coach. So there's a lot going on this weekend, but as I like to say, these are good challenges to have. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I mean, you have to go back a long time, and obviously I covered you for a long time, and it goes back way before even I started doing that. But I mean, when you started playing soccer, did you ever imagine that you would sort of get to, the level that you got to with the U.S. men's national team? I mean, eventually playing over in the U.K., playing for the LA Galaxy, winning championships for the LA Galaxy. Did you ever I know sports figures often have big dreams and big ideas of where it goes, but did you think it would go the way that it did?
Well, I'll give you guys a little background on me. For people who don't know, I grew up in Ontario, California. We grew up in a 900 square foot home. My dad was an electrician. My mom was a teacher. If you know anything about being a school district electrician and a teacher, they don't make a lot of money. So the beginning was extremely humble for us, and it's part of the reason why I was able to succeed, is I always had that grit about me, because it was a way to be accepted and make a better life. But also at the time, I was born in '82. And until I was 14 years old, Major League Soccer didn't exist.
Right.
So there was no dream for me of playing in Major League Soccer. Also, cable TV wasn't a thing then, right? So we had, basically 5 channels, and all that was on was Laker games, Dodger games, some NFL games. So I didn't have access to watching soccer. So I didn't watch soccer. I wasn't a fan of soccer. I just loved playing soccer. And so there was never a dream of being a professional or playing in a World Cup. All I really wanted to do was get a scholarship so my parents didn't have to pay for college. That was really the goal. So I think in some ways that helped me, because it just kept me singularly focused on playing and just loving the game. And eventually when you play that much from the time you start walking, you're not going to be bad at it. And fortunately I had really good genes too, and so I became good at it once I sort of developed physically.
Yeah, so obviously this weekend, with the statue coming up, you're going to be enshrined forever. So with that, there's going to be probably a pose or something that it's going to be kind of an iconic moment. Do you have like a best memory, or is there a particular moment or milestone that stands out with your time during the Galaxy?
Wow, good question. I have a lot. Honestly, I have so many. It's, the pose is, for me, very personal and memorable. I don't want to give it away, but
yeah, no spoilers.
It's one that's special to me. There are a few that stick out. My last game, which culminated in a championship in 2014, was very, very special. The first championship in 2005, when Pondo scored, and that feeling of winning a championship with your hometown team was very special. And then I have a very vivid memory of in 2011, after it had been a really difficult, I believe it was 3 or 4 years, once David came and we were really bad. In 2009, we started getting back to being good again. And then finally in 2011, when it all came together, once Robbie joined and we won, I was in the corner where the ACB is, in that corner of the field, and winning. And then David was there as we were sort of just killing off the clock at the end of the game, and giving him a hug, and that sort of closure, because it had been such a rough few years for us, was a really special moment too.
Yeah, I mean, Landon, talk a little bit about that and the struggle, right? 2009, you guys make it to MLS Cup, you don't win it. 2007, 2008, not great years by history standards for the LA Galaxy. The Galaxy now going through a similar sort of low point, right? Starting in 2017 all the way until now, and they're starting to slip maybe closer out of that playoff contention. What did it take for you guys, and I'm sure Bruce Arena's part of that answer, but there's probably so much more to that. What did it take for you guys to realize that you could be champions, and what kind of mindset change is that from a team that is sort of struggling over a couple of years?
The league is different now than it was even 10 years ago, much different. So at that time, it really came down to, do you have a few special players? And if so, can you get the rest of the roster right and the team functioning well enough those special players can make some plays? So if you go back to our 11, 12, and 14 wins, in the end it was myself, Robbie, basically Giassi, some special players making some special plays, and then defensively with Omar and AJ and Todd Donovan, McGee making some plays along the way. That was basically the blueprint, was to have some players who could do that, but then get the rest right. And so what Bruce did, and I think this is what Greg is doing, and I know, it's been a little challenging stretch here, but what Bruce did and what Greg is trying to do now is just build a foundation to have success again. And oftentimes that takes time. And I'm learning that here now in San Diego with what I'm doing, is until you have continuity over a few years, it's really hard to be successful. And the challenge now in modern MLS is you see coaches getting fired sort of left and right these days.
Right.
You often don't get that time. And so with Greg, it's great because he will have that time. He's proven that when he's given time, he will be successful. And he's just starting to build a foundation that you can work with. And so if you can make the playoffs along the way and maybe give yourself a chance to get to a final or win a championship along the way, that's great. But ultimately you have to look 2 or 3 years out and see, is it trending in the right direction? And that's what Bruce had in 2009. I remember quite vividly, I think we were like 1 win, 1 loss, and 13 ties or something crazy at the beginning of the season. We were just grinding away, but we were finally starting to get results in hard places. And eventually we turned the corner and started to become a really good team.
Yeah, so obviously your individual accolades are what's kind of earning you the recognition with the statue, but you name checked a lot of those players that you made those runs with for MLS Cups. Are there any teammates that you have stories from or anecdotes on how fun they were to play with or how great they were of teammates? Who stands out, or do you have a few that stand out that maybe you want to share why they were so fun to play with, and maybe how they even pushed you to be a better player?
There are tons, and I'll name some, but I'm going to forget a lot. So
of course,
please don't hold it against me. I I would challenge you on the first part, actually, though. I don't believe
Okay.
it's the individual accolades that led to this. I believe it's being a winner is what leads to this. Ultimately, you can be at a club for a long time, but if you're not successful, it's not the same. And so, obviously, I contributed to that in individual ways. But if Bruce isn't there and we don't lift 4 trophies, and 3 in particular, in the latter years, I don't think it's the same, and I don't think the sentiment is the same. So that was something I always prided myself in, was being a winner. And I think when in the way human beings are, everybody wants to, especially now, it's all about the individual. But I just wanted to win championships, and the record I'm most proud of is that no one's won more in this league than I have. And I think that's really a testament to the teams that Bruce put together. So that I was very fortunate to be a part of. As far as teammates go, there are tons. I'm gonna, Juninho and Marcelo Sarvas are gonna be there this weekend. Mike and Todd are coming. McGee and Todd. Omar would come if he wasn't still playing. There'll be a bunch of former teammates who are still part of the club and around the club who will be there. Guys who stand out, Alan Gordon, just because of what he was to the team from a culture standpoint and in the locker room. I think McGee was, in my opinion, the most underrated, maybe player, but certainly finisher and goal scorer that the league ever saw. People never saw him that way, but he and Robbie were the 2 best finishers on the team by a country mile. And then having the opportunity to play with David and Robbie was it was literally a thrill of a lifetime, because playing in MLS in the early 2000s, there were some good players, but it's not like playing at world-class clubs all over the world. So I didn't really have the opportunity, but for those 2, a few other guys on the Galaxy, and playing with the national team, which came around not too often, to play with truly, truly world-class players. And I remember the first day in training when Robbie stepped out there, and we just started, like, we had no conversations. We didn't have to speak about anything. There was just a connection that was undeniable. And every day was such a joy. Every day, because I knew if I made a run, he or David were going to put the ball where it needed to be. I knew if they made a run and I put it there, they were going to finish it. And it just made it really enjoyable to play.
Well, Landon, we know you have a busy week coming up, so we don't want to hold you too long. I do want to talk a little bit about your coaching with San Diego Loyal, the game coming up on Saturday night. Season ticket holders invited to this Galaxy 2 game, and Landon, I think there hasn't been real large crowds because they haven't really been allowing them for Galaxy 2 games so far this year, and so this is one of the first chances for season ticket holders to go. You'll see Landon on the sidelines there for the San Diego Loyal. Tell me a little bit about your coaching journey so far. I saw something where you said you were very aware that some really good players have been really bad coaches, and that was sort of maybe either a warning for you or something like that. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it is a warning. And it's a challenge. It's hard for people to look at me as anything other than a player because I did it for so long. The reality is I've moved on. Moved on, and I'm loving this new challenge in my life. And it's a bit of a curse because you get that held against you. Well, you're a good player, and you don't, what do you know about coaching? And the reality is that a lot of people before me have sort of ruined that. So I take it just like I take anything, just like I took playing in the beginning. Anything I do seriously. A phrase I use all the time is, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so if I'm going to do it and spend my time away from my family and dedicating this many hours to it, I'm going to be successful. And it's how I've always been in my life. It's why I'm picky about what I do with my life. But once I do and I'm all in so that I can be successful. So this is no different. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the opportunity to have a positive impact on a lot of young men's lives, not just on the soccer field. They are people first and players second to me. But being able to help them, knowing that I've been through what they've been through and relate to them, talk them through some ways to get through difficult stretches, whether it's personally or professionally, and then see them succeed on the field brings me immense joy. It is really, really rewarding for me. And I've loved every minute so far. So this is certainly my new journey. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm really loving it.
Okay. You said that you long put the player part of you away, so that the chat room's asking if you're going to suit up for the LA Galaxy on Sunday, because they would like. I would imagine that's a no then, huh?
I mean, if you saw me just try to jog around the field today, you wouldn't want me anywhere near the field.
Same, Landon. Same. I feel that very much. Hey, we certainly appreciate you stopping by. Good luck this weekend. We will be there. Eric, you had one more thing before we let Landon go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, Josh obviously has been doing this show, kind of brings the journalist perspective, but I just want to mention, you mentioned being a local boy. And so a lot of people, I think when you went to Leverkusen at a young age, that's when you were on the radar. But I just remember, playing in the Coast Soccer League, and we were in an Open Cup, and we were drawn to play Cal Heat. And I had some high school teammates who were on that team, and then hearing about the legend of this kid Landon, and he was going to go pro, and it was a big deal. So you've actually been a legend in the making for a long time in my life. So I just want to say, from the fans' perspective, that thank you for everything you've given to this club, and I can't wait to see you get this recognition on Sunday. It's well deserved, and I just want to thank you for all you've given to the club.
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And out of curiosity, what club were you playing for?
So it was Artesia DS. We were a low bronze team, and so we had you in the first half, but I think you guys realized that you could stop messing around, and you handled your business in the second half.
That's awesome. What a great story. Thanks for sharing that.
That's awesome.
No, I really appreciate it. And I meant what I said in the beginning. People who've been grinding for a long time to elevate this sport are really special to me, and so I really appreciate what you guys have done and continue to do.
Well, Landon, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Good luck. We'll see you this weekend. All right.
Hey guys, see you soon.
All
Be
right.
safe.
There you go.
Thanks, Landon.
There you go, Mr. Landon Donovan. A legend. I mean, royalty. LA Galaxy royalty. Has been for a long time. He's my white whale. I've been chasing him for 13 seasons. All right. This is, we found out, Eric, 2 hours ago that we were going to be able to do this. I mean,
I had a minor freak out, but yeah, we made it. I didn't sweat through my shirt. But yeah,
not yet. No, it was great. So we want to thank Landon for coming on. He and I started talking about coming on the show, by the way, during the pandemic, whenever it had first hit, whenever we were doing all of our sort of reminiscence with LA Galaxy legends. And so we had started emailing back and forth, and it never really worked out. And then all of a sudden the USL season starts back up, and Landon's coaching for SD Loyal. So anyway, Saturday night, you get a chance to see him coaching against LA Galaxy 2. LA Galaxy 2, by the way, starting to find a little bit of hot streak. Just beat Phoenix 3-0. So going to play against San Diego Loyal coming up. By the way, a shout out to Filthy Phil, gave us a little $5 super chat for getting LD on the show. So thanks, Phil. We appreciate that. I certainly appreciate it. If you appreciate that too, you're more than welcome to donate as well. John, by the way, a little $5 super chat as well. He says, sorry, I'm late donation. John comes in at the end of the LD interview. You're going to have to catch that on replay, John. That's how it goes. So Landon's great. I just to sort of go back, I started covering him at the very beginning whenever I started, doing all this. I didn't get into the locker room until 2012. So I was in the locker room for that celebration. I got champagne dumped all over me by Mr. Todd Donovan. I was in there. That was one of the famous ones too. Was that a 14? I get 12 and 14. Those celebrations get messed up. 12 was whenever Omar opened his robe and showed
I
everybody.
think he did it for both.
Oh, he may have. He may have. He was always semi-dressed whenever we go in there. But Landon was always in that locker room. Always extremely nice. Super great guy. Thing. I've told the funny story about Landon Donovan about him breaking his shirt a couple times on this, his shirt ripping whenever in 2014, I think. It was a good one. One of those things that only happens in the locker room if you stick around. So thanks, Landon. Super big appreciate that. That was fun. Eric, go ahead.
And then Hetty GG also gave us a $5 super chat donation saying that Landon's a pure class act. So, and he also called us a class act. So we got lumped in. We got to ride on the coattails there. But I just got to follow up by saying that because, when I talked about, the individual accolades, and he was quick to kind of shut me down on that and talk about how, it's the teammates and Bruce and the coaches. And of course, that's the humility. That's the type of guy he is. And that's why he's a legend. And so, it was just so great to hear him kind of go on about that and tell his story. And I think you can't think of many people much more deserving for LA Galaxy statue than Landon Donovan. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend. Hopefully the team and everyone else can kind of get on board, and this could be maybe a momentous shift. Maybe this is what we need. We need some good juju.
Greg Vanney was talking about it. He was there. Christian Morales, by the way, a little $5 ship chat there as well, says, for getting Landon on the podcast. And then Eric, he says, I also think that we, and this is Christian speaking, should get a left back named Nuno Mendes. You know who he's talking about, Hammer?
Yeah, that's a young Portuguese player. That's going to cost us a couple $100 million. So that maybe we'll get him for the 2035 MLS Cup run.
He's on his way over. All right, good. More, I think
good shout, Christian.
I think your solution to everything is more Portuguese players, right? Am I correct?
That'll fix it.
Okay, good. Just checking. Wanted to make sure we got that. All right, let's get to this RSL game. Oh, I know everybody's so excited. By the way, we have a secret word today. Eric, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but it's the word you and I talked about earlier. So, all right. So
fair enough.
I'm glad I'm glad we could figure.
We're on the
out.
same page here.
Okay, good. So anyway, so the secret word game is ongoing. We will start it right now. It was not in play whenever we first started, so I'm telling you right now, at about 25 minutes into the show, secret word game is on. As always, it's your job to guess what our secret word we are using today. It is our goal to use it as many times as possible without being super obvious. So we have that. And before we get too far as well, let's break all of this Landon stuff because that was exciting and stuff. Let's do something that's not as exciting. We are going to play our Wikipedia guessing game as well, and I've made it harder for today as well. We are going to go in sections here. Sections. All right. So let's get to our first section. This is a job where you guys, I will give you clues as to, we'll go on this person's Wikipedia page. You don't know who it is. I will tell you where they played, and then you have to try to guess who this player is. Current player on the LA Galaxy. That is our rules for right now. A youth career, 2009 to 2011, St. George's. A college career from 2011 to 2012, the TJC Apaches. And then, of course, from 2013 to 2014, New Mexico Lobos. There you go. That is your guess for right now. You can think about it. We will go on and talk about RSL for a little while and see if anybody can guess it while we're doing that.
I like this one. This one really makes you think. This is not maybe I'm giving too many hints. It's not front of the mind. Okay.
Don't.
I
just
like
let,
it.
just let it go.
If anyone gets it on that first slide, I'd be very impressed.
I think from that the frustration will be real. Like I would sit there and be like, I don't. Everybody's Googling it now. That's that's the problem. No Googling. That's the only rule that you have on some of this. So we will go on. All right. RSL game. LA Galaxy lose 2-1 at Real Salt Lake. Galaxy allowed a 95th minute goal in this game. By the way, a really, really nice goal. So often, Eric, we get consumed with somebody made a mistake. We get consumed with the defense let the LA Galaxy down again. We get consumed with that. Do you imagine what everybody was doing when Zlatan was scoring worldies on him all the time? They were like, oh man, our defense sucks. No, it's Zlatan. Now, this guy is not Zlatan, all right?
I was going to say, let's pull it back a little bit. It was a nice goal, but at the same time, there was still work to be done, and I understand the frustration from Galaxy fans, but at the same time, how he got there and he got into that space to get it done. I understand where that there's a contentious point there. Give him credit. He had to finish it and it was well struck. But again, I think it's fair to be a little bit upset that it was easy for him to get in that position.
Was it easy for him? He had to beat two guys to a ball. He had to flick it back over their head, and then he full volleyed it with his left foot across the goal. From about 23 yards out.
You just need a nudge, a knee, a shin guard, just something to just throw him off just a little bit.
If somebody is pulling the ball that far back away from danger, whenever you had him basically shadowed between two players, you're probably, as a defender, you're going to let him have that space because you're like, he's not moving towards the goal anymore. This is, I can tell you didn't play defense. I can tell you didn't play defense, right? It was one of those, it's like, if I see that guy doing that, I'm like, cool, game over. And then he like hits that. Where did that come from? So it's a wonderful goal. It's a golazo. Do you think, I'm not going to say it anymore. Do you think it? I know you're on the committee, so is that considered a good goal? I mean, I don't know.
With some of the politics going on in the world, I just, as part of the Golasso committee, I just voted present. I didn't. You didn't want to go into that. Yeah, okay. I relieved myself of my duties of. So I think that tells you all you need to know.
LA Galaxy started the lineup with Chicharito up top, Grand Sur on the left, Efrain Alvarez on the right, Sebastian Lletget in the middle, Raveloson Raveloson in the center there, along with Jonathan Dos Santos. Hamalainen out on the left as Viafania still recovering from that hyperextended knee. Depew gets a start over Steres. Koulibaly in there. Derek Williams still injured with that groin injury. Haven't had a big update on him. LA Galaxy have a media call scheduled on Friday, FYI. So that is Thursday night tonight, Friday tomorrow. We will find out more about injuries and everything on Friday and figure that out. Julian Araujo on the right-hand side and Jonathan Bond in goal. On the bench, Klinsmann, Steres, Vasquez, Cabral, Kleshtin, Zubak, Saldana, Fisher, Joveljic. Eric, yes or no to this lineup? Did you have any issues with it? What did you want to? What did you think whenever you saw it?
You know my answer to this. I when I saw it, I was not crazy about it, especially because of what had happened on Sunday against Austin. You thought, well, Joveljic didn't come in early. Maybe that meant that he was going to get more time. He's either going to spell Chicharito or they were going to, maybe try two forwards or try something out. So I was a little bit uneasy about that. And then obviously with Nick Depew back there, and the carousel of center backs continues. And so just how shaky the defense has been, that made me feel a little bit uneasy. And then, lastly with Alvarez in there in the starting lineup, he's someone who's kind of been hot and cold. And so it made me a little bit nervous with him in the lineup, but once the game started, and we'll go more into in-game analysis, I thought Alvarez had a pretty solid game. He played really well. So he made me kind of eat my words a little bit about feeling uneasy. But the lineup just, they created a lot of chances. So it was there, but it was frustrating to watch. So I don't know where I feel. I wasn't feeling great about it. We talked about best 11s, I think, last time I was on here.
Yes.
And this wouldn't be my best 11. That's where I'll leave that.
I mean, again, we have to sit there and look at Greg Vanney and what he's thinking. He clearly doesn't want to start in a 4-4-2. By the way, I would not be surprised at all if they start in a 4-4-2 against LAFC. There's just something in me. I don't have any inside information. Sometimes I do, and then I wink at you guys. I'm not winking. I don't. I'm just telling you there's something about Hit that just to me says 4-4-2. We have talked about the LA Galaxy needing to get the first goal so many times. They don't get the first goal in this game again. 30 seconds from halftime. It's just horrible. And if you look at it, Depew doesn't necessarily clear the ball that well, although it's certainly not a dangerous clearance. It's not something that you're like, you just hope it would be cleared in a different spot. Hamalainen is actually, if you look at the last goal, Hamalainen heads the ball back into a group of RSL players. That was worse for me than Nick Depew trying to clear it whenever he tried to clear it. That wasn't a problem. But Hamalainen doesn't step out on that ball because he doesn't step out right away. They get a cross in. Sega Koulibaly, who was at the correct depth on his coverage, right? So we talk about how close he is to a defender versus how far away he is from the defender. It's like he panicked for a second and thought something was going to happen near post. There was nobody there. There was nobody making a near post run. So he actually ran towards the near post and opened up about 5 or 6 yards before having to backpedal and then go back. This is a problem for him. And before we go and talk about all the Galaxy chances, you have to talk about Sega Koulibaly and his propensity to be beaten like this. This is how he gets beaten every single time, Eric, which is a back shoulder run and not maintaining his spacing correctly against a defender. He has that coverage. He's there in the right spot. He actually runs out of that position and ends up coming back. So for me, you look at him and sort of, I was talking to Panda today, and he's like, every time somebody scores, Sega Koulibaly's standing there the whole day. I'm like,
he's a center back.
He's a center back. If they're in the center of the field, he's going to be there, Kevin. The whole deal. But we talk about the defense struggling, and to me, the one guy who hasn't been moved a lot is Koulibaly, and you could say that you're trying to get him used to things and play him through things, and I understand that, and you spent money for him and you want to do it, but you've rotated every other position, whether it's to injury or anything else. You put Steres and Depew in there, Williams has been in there, the whole deal. Koulibaly is the guy who's had probably the most consistent run out of that, and he's not cutting it at current. So
exactly, and so that's the thing. He's the one piece that hasn't moved. And so you look at the Galaxy's current form and you think, well, maybe in another permutation, something else needs to be put in there. And I think another frustrating component to this is that when Koulibaly gets forward and they have corner kicks, the Galaxy have corner kicks, he's usually in the neighborhood, either close to getting ahead on the ball or kind of being around it. So he obviously knows like ball tracking. And I know it's different when you're defending and you want to watch the attacking players and stand in front of him, but he seems to know how to get up and find the ball, but it just doesn't apply on the other side of it. But and you have to give credit because it was an open look for the header, and then I think Bond it was unfortunate. He made the initial save and just it was an ugly goal. And then the way that Vanney talked about it at halftime, he said we played 44 and a half really good minutes. And then just to be, and I think Sasha said something afterward also, just to have that kick, kick in the groin.
Kick in the nuts. You can say nuts. That's PG-13.
I don't know if we're going to get monetized, if we're going to lose our 20 cents. Though,
a kick in the cashews. This is
the Landon episode. This has got to be at least 40 cents worth on this one.
Probably.
But again, that's the worst time to concede a goal, is right before the half, especially when you've been playing well and the chances are there. So it was just really unfortunate the way it all went down. And we can also take a moment to talk about Jonathan Bond, someone who at the beginning of the season, we were all saying, best keeper in the league. He's, coming up big, and he came up big a lot of times as well. Could have been a lot worse, with some of the chances that RSL had, but he's also had moments where whether it's bad luck or it's just he doesn't look like the same Jonathan Bond that we had in the opening run. So we talk about the whole Galaxy and those opening 10 games and coming out with their hair on fire and looking great, and Bond making all these spectacular saves. The offense is not creating those chances, or they're not finishing those chances, and then Bond is also kind of not having those heroics like he had early on in the season as well. So it's just frustrating all around.
Yeah, it can be. I'll say this. My biggest thing on Jonathan Bond is he has not played this many games before in a long time, right? I mean, we've talked about him being the perennial backup. He didn't get all these games before. He didn't have to do all this traveling before. I know everybody mocks it and is like, oh, it's nothing. Dude, I fly to Denver and back in a weekend, and I'm like, I need like 3 days to recover. And I'm not a professional athlete. I get that. I totally agree. If you looked at my waistline, it would definitely not fit in any of those. Remember whenever they had the Tech Fit the Tech Fit jerseys that were like skin tight ones? I would not fit well in one of those.
Speaking of, the 2011 MLS Cup, and then I'm right there with you. Whenever those auctions and you can bid on a player jersey, it's like, well, this would definitely have to go in a frame because I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing that jersey on the pod.
Let's the big deal here is this, that Greg Vanney talked about this team and this game afterwards, and he said he was perfectly fine with the effort, and I agree with him. There was nothing that I saw that anybody was not trying, right? This didn't look like a tired team. Remember, this is a team that played on Sunday and then had a game on Wednesday, had to travel from Austin, stayed out on the road, and then went to Real Salt Lake and played at altitude, and they absolutely took that game to RSL. You look at possession 60-40 and stats, blah, 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 the whole deal. Here's the thing, though. I went through and watched the replay of this game earlier today because I wanted to look at how many chances the LA Galaxy actually had. And it's a long list. It's a very long list because you can sit there and say, okay, realistically, the Galaxy had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 chances. Now, those aren't going to all register as shots on goal. Some of those are block shots, some of the things. But, I mean, starting in the 16th minute, Chicharito got that pass from Araujo, who cut it back to the top of the box, and Chicharito hits that. Guess what? If this is informed Chicharito, that ball's in the back of the net. He hit it. I think they were talking on the broadcast like he was trying to hit it near post and it curled too much. I thought he was trying to hit it back post and he didn't get it far enough over. But however it worked, it was in the center of the goal.
And I think I said this in either a text thread or to somebody. I said that I think since Chicharito has been with the Galaxy, I think that's the hardest I've seen him strike a ball until his goal in the second half. And so, that's not his bread and butter, so outside the box, those bombazos, that's not what Chicharito is known for. But we talked about finishing. That's, the hardest I've seen Chicharito hit all season. That gives a little bit of a clue as well as to kind of how bad things are. But, that's the fact that he had a shot on target, give him credit there. The chance was there.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Chicharito, by the way, ends up getting 4 or 5 good chances in this game. Converts one of them. If you're looking at Chicharito at the beginning of the year, he converts 3 of those at least. And so this you want to know the difference. And I talked to Greg about it. And there's lots of people all of a sudden who think Greg Vanney's lying for some reason. I don't know why Greg would lie. His job is very safe. All right, he's not going anywhere. I know everybody likes to think that maybe he's not. All right, he will tell the truth. He will be up there. He will tell the truth. I'm sure that's advantageous to him, but he's not going to sit there and lie to people, all right? And so whenever he says he saw the effort, he saw the things, we just couldn't finish. I asked Greg about this in Austin. What's the difference between the first 10 games and these last 7 games then? And he was like, it's the execution. It's the execution at the end. And this game is a perfect example. Grand Sur, one-on-one versus Justin Glad, 22nd minute. He gets a shot off, He cuts inside, hits it right at the goalkeeper. Grandsir, by the way, has a lower goals plus assists average per 90 than Kevin Cabral. So everybody who wants Grandsir, and by the way, has more minutes than Kevin Cabral as well in a lot of these games. So everybody who wants Cabral to be on the bench, think about that for a second. Grandsir absolutely plays the part of being the hustle bug. He's out there running, he's out there trying, and because of that, he will be a fan favorite, 100%. And I get it. He is, we said that he was like Roman Alessandrini, but he's not, because Roman Alessandrini could finish. So right now I'm going to call him Christian Wilhelmsen, right? He's got the speed, he's got the hustle, but there's no finishing in him. And that's the biggest thing that if he wants to, there's 1, 2, 3, he had 3 good chances in that first half and early in that second half to make an indent on this game, Eric, and he didn't.
He was doing everything right until that final pass and that final shot. Grandsir, I think he brings more speed than Alessandrini, and I think he might just by a hair have a little bit more technical ability on the ball, except for, like you said, the finishing. The final pass from him is sloppy. It's running into defenders. The shot, it's right at the goalkeeper. In the chat, I see a lot of people mentioning that Ochoa had, the game of his life. He played well. I think that needs to be mentioned as well. Chicharito had some point blank chances. And, yes, world-class strikers, put a little lift on the ball, hit the ball a little harder, and can finish those chances. But you have to give credit to Ochoa as well. He came up big. He made some really nice saves. As a striker, I go back to that goal where it looked like he was offside, or the opportunity where it looked like he was offside, and Chicharito hit it low on the ground. You see tons of strikers hit it low on the ground, pick a corner, and it goes in. Ochoa just was up to the task, and so you give it credit there. But back to Grandsir, it says a lot of what the whole team is going through. There's all this politeness in the 18. Everyone wants to pass, or everyone makes those great runs, but then at the very end, for some reason, it all kind of falls apart. And so that's really the part that needs to be worked on.
Grandsir had a bunch of those chances. We talked about that. Chicharito with a scuff shot that he had at the top of the box with space. He absolutely scuffed the shot in the 52nd minute. Araujo's cross into the box for Chicharito's head. Chicharito heads it over the bar. You could say, it was a little bit. Listen, I've watched this guy play for years. He knows how to get on the end of a header, and it's not just quite there. So if you want to talk about one of the reasons the LA Galaxy didn't win this game, it is absolutely 100% Chicharito. He had plenty of chances in order to make this difference.
Like you said, he could have had 3 goals easily. The chances were there.
Grandsir Araujo could have had goals as well. And here's the thing about Araujo. I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was dynamic. I thought he found the right spaces. The goal that Chicharito scores is a manufactured goal. There is no space whenever that ball gets put back to Alvarez, and Alvarez slides over a little bit. Chicharito slides with him just enough to create the space. There's nothing there. There's no danger there. Everybody's covered, right? And then all of a sudden, half a step, Chicharito's able to get to a little bit ahead of his defense. He turns and he fires near post. I listened to the RSL broadcast on that, and they're like, it has to be a little better from Ochoa. I'm like, dude, that was rapid fire quickness.
It was a well taken shot. Hit with pace, well placed. And just to go back to Araujo, I think you talk about Chicharito having the most goals and being like the MVP for the team. I think Julian Araujo, under the radar, maybe not under the radar, is making the case that he's really the team MVP because of consistency. Playing in the number of games he's put into, he brings that intensity every time. He's always good for 2 or 3 tackles where he frustrates the other team. He's just always on, and so you really appreciate what he does for the team. You can't say that it was a bad game from him either. And so I think this is where I'll take my opportunity to kind of go in on some of the people who are saying, and we're seeing some of those things pop up. Or I can't wait to hear people say how great the Galaxy were. And when you look at that game, you can't say that the effort wasn't there, that the chances weren't there. 2017, 2020, that was not very long ago. We saw teams essentially quit. We saw teams give up. We saw, players like Jermaine Jones just look like an absolute cancer on the field and just make this team look awful. 2020, we talked about Greg Vanney getting the opportunity and having a chance, to build his project. GBS, we were supposed to wait for him to build his project as well, but you saw what was happening to his players reacting to them and essentially quitting on him, quitting on the team. That's not what we're seeing. And so I don't know how you can look at this game and say, yes, it's frustrating. They didn't score. They're not finishing their chances. Be angry about that. But to say that it's unacceptable or the player X is trash, like that's not analysis. Yelling into a microphone and saying we suck, that doesn't further the conversation. That's maybe cathartic to listen to, and maybe there are people who want to hear that. But that's not what we do here, and that's why I'm kind of proud to be part of this Corner of the Galaxy family, because you look at it and you say, look at the chances, look at everything that happened. It was there. This wasn't, a bad opportunity. I looked back, I pulled up some tweets yesterday. Ronell, I know he's a listener of the show. I'm assuming he still listens, hopefully, but he was mentioning, it's the same thing over and over. We win stat wise, but we have more shots and we end up losing. Other teams know how to play against us. And he's right. He's absolutely right to share that frustration. But if the alternative is they're not creating chances, okay, so we sit back and you let the other team attack. So now you're losing that opportunity. You're not creating chances anymore. And then now you're going to have the stress of, Nick DePuy, Sega Coulibaly, Williams, who may be shaky, Daniel Stairs, Jonathan Bond, who doesn't look the same. Now you're going to have them take on pressure for 90 minutes. Are you comfortable with that? A defense that's given up, the third most goals in the league, you're going to want to take on that pressure, plus losing your ability to push forward and create those chances. If that's the alternative, I don't want it. I'll take them, having chances, and maybe they're due for it and maybe they explode in one game. But you could be frustrated. You could be angry. There are people who put time and money and they travel to these games and they buy merchandise. Be angry, be upset about it. But I don't think you can look at this game and say it was bad. So, you can't say, player, if you want to yell into a microphone and say this team is awful, that's not what happened yesterday. They were beat. Give David Ochoa, the credit for making those saves. Be hard on the Galaxy for not being able to finish, but the chances were there, and I think you can't get mad at chances. The team did not quit yesterday. They didn't show up to that game defeated already. That team was ready to play, and they were doing their best to get it done, which it's almost even sadder. Maybe that's the harsh reality. Maybe they're just not good enough to get it done, and maybe that's a conversation that we can have later. But you can't say that they weren't playing for the badge, or they weren't doing any of those things. That they
didn't have enough heart.
It just didn't work.
They didn't have enough heart. That's what I hear all the time. That team absolutely left everything out on the field. You could see it. There was a reason that Chicharito got pulled off. There's a reason, quite honestly, that Efrain Alvarez got pulled off. Alvarez had that header late in the game that almost snuck in whenever it got floated to the back post by Hammerline. I would have loved to have seen him attack that a little bit harder than just trying to place that. I also maybe would have loved to seen him try to full volley that with a foot instead of a head. Like it's an advanced level.
Yeah. Someone with a storied left foot, and he's so, he's dangerous when he gets those open looks. Yeah, that would have been sweet to see. He also had, in the first half, some nice dribbles. I think he almost tried to do a little bit too much.
Right.
Maybe he could have squared it up a little bit better, but I thought Efrain had a solid game.
The guys who didn't, I thought Jonathan Dos Santos played okay. Actually, he was involved in some of that. That was fine. The other thing I wanted to point out, too, by the way, if you looked at just the progression from the Austin game to this RSL game, is the Austin game was the Galaxy can't break down a bunkered-in defense, right? That's not what happened against RSL. The RSL bunkered and the LA Galaxy broke them down. They just couldn't finish at the end. And you can say, oh, well, that's not breaking them down. No, creating the chances is where they didn't have it against Austin. What they did have against RSL is creating those chances and getting on the end of them, and they got on a lot of them. I thought if Araujo would have been better, a little bit better with his crosses, because I think he misplaced 2 or 3 crosses that were in absolute perfect positions to be able to do that. One of them was to Cabral late in the game that very easily could have. Cabral had inside standing on a back post run. He had the defender draped around him. All you have to do is hit it to his feet and he can tap that in. It's Cabral. He does occasionally score, but he's in the right position to make that happen. That's one of the things we talk about with Cabral and Grandsir too, is Cabral. You can say what you want about him, and if you're choosing between the two because you have to, Cabral puts himself in positions to score goals. Grandsir doesn't always do that and has to manufacture his chances a little bit more. Cabral usually ends up being, now whether he finishes those is a completely different discussion, but he puts himself into those positions. So you look at all of that. I mean, Joveljic had a header in the 92nd minute. Cabral's shot from inside the box was blocked in the 92nd minute. Alvarez header almost finds the net in the 86th minute. Chicharito and Joveljic combined, and Joveljic hit it over the bar by about 3 minutes in the 80th minute. The goal, Chicharito's goal in the 76th. Alvarez from inside the box with his left foot in the 58th, the 57th, the 57th, the 54th, the 40th, the 52nd, the 44th, the 31st, the 31st, the 22nd, and the 16th. You can't tell me the LA Galaxy didn't have chances. They did.
That's where it's funny. We were talking about MLSsoccer.com. So Major League Soccer.com.
Yes.
If you go to that website and you see the XG, and everyone loves when we bring up XG, but you see that between the 45th minute and the 75th minute, that jump, it's like that's when all the chances were, and so they were there. It was there. It was there for the taking, and they didn't steal those points like they needed. And I think it goes back to kind of what you're hinting at with what we may see this weekend when Joveljic was on the field, when Cabral was on the field. When they were together, paired with Chicharito, that's when the havoc was happening. And so I think, if you want to break this curse, you want to start getting some goals, I think you need to put them on the field together. I think you need to see Cabral, Joveljic, Chicharito on the field at the same time. Grandsir, you see it, he doesn't create the goal scoring chances, but he also I think he's second in assists on the team. So he sets up a lot of chances as well. So he's another one who would, I understand if you have to pick either or because of how you're going to line up, especially if you're bringing Joveljic in. But I think Cabral has to be back in the starting lineup because that's when the chances get created, is when those three players are on the field at the same time.
Two of the guys who didn't play well. I talked a little bit about Jonathan Dos Santos coming in. I thought he played okay, not great. Certainly didn't take over the game as you would expect it, but I thought that he did a good job of controlling the ball in the midfield a little bit and dishing out to the sides and sort of trying to keep things going. The Galaxy moved quickly in this game. They switched sides quickly. When Chicho would drop back into which I don't always love, by the way, but when it works very well for him. Whenever he drops back into the midfield and faces towards his own players, able to get that ball, spin and turn and dish out to the outside, get back into the play, be able to run in. That's a real boon to what the LA Galaxy can do. So there's a reason that Chicharito starts. Chicharito is the starter. I know everybody wants Joveljic to start with him, and that's fine if you want that. And again, 4-4-2, it could happen. I'm feeling it. I'm
waiting for it. I'm excited. There's a day it's going to happen.
And we saw it. When we saw it in the second half, I mean, that's what they did. They went to more of a 4-4-2 with the two-man up front with Joveljic and Chicharito. So maybe we see it from the start against LAFC. Maybe that's the change that Greg Vanney makes. Maybe he feels comfortable doing that now. But if you're not going to start in a 4-4-2 or with a two-man up top formation, then Joveljic comes in off the bench, and I like that. I think he is a great bring him in the second half type of guy. And by the way, eventually he comes in when the LA Galaxy are winning a game and gets to close it out as the single striker after you let Chicharito, sort of get some rest. Managing his minutes is important. The other guy, though, the guy who has been under fire from LA Galaxy fans for most of this year, and I can understand why. It
was warranted yesterday. If I think you're going to bring his name up. Are you going to bring up the boy?
Yeah, I am. Sebastian Lletget.
Yeah. He had a bad game yesterday.
He did. He was not. And by the way, when he went off and he stopped taking up the space that Alvarez sort of wanted to run into, all of a sudden the Galaxy got a lot more dangerous. That's when the Galaxy scored as well, bringing that in with Alvarez being able to attack more into that central attacking midfielder role. So 100% that Sebastian Lletget has been struggling with the LA Galaxy. Now, he's not been struggling with the U.S. men's national team. I'm gonna lay something aside for everybody right now. Sebastian Lletget tries as hard for the national team as he does for the LA Galaxy. So take that out of your mind as something that you're sure is true. It's not. He absolutely 100% works as hard for both teams. All right. The setup is different. They use him a little bit differently, and the players around him at the U.S. men's national team are different as well. He has, and I'll say it right now, he has more chemistry on the U.S. men's national team and more comfort within Greg with 3 Gs, Berhalter's system, than Greg with 2 Gs, with the LA Galaxy.
It's getting very confusing.
It's supposed to. That's what I was trying to do. I want the frustration level high.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see Greg Vanney, and I see this offseason as when that gets fixed. They're going to figure out a way to work together. Sebastian Lletget's too good. Sebastian Lletget is not going anywhere. Everybody chill out. I see him. Oh, they're going to trade Sebastian Lletget. He's not going anywhere.
But I think I understand the frustration that the Galaxy fans have, though, because if he is someone who you're paying a high salary, you need him to produce. And he's not producing at the same clip with the Galaxy as he does for the U.S. national team. And I think the reason for that is Greg Triple G Berhalter wants the U.S. national team to play possession-based and hold. And so when Sebastian does his little circle turns, he can kind of distribute the ball and kind of figure it out. I think the Galaxy, we've mentioned it, they work best when they're a counterattacking team. And so when, the Galaxy are breaking and Cabral's moving forward and Grandsir is moving forward and they're breaking with speed, and Sebastian Lletget does his circle turn and kind of kills the play and, recycles back to Jonathan Dos Santos, that's where kind of the play dies and it doesn't continue to move forward. So it goes down to, you're right. He's doing the same thing with the Galaxy as he does with the national team. It's just the puzzle pieces are different. And so he's fitting better there than he is with the Galaxy. So they're on different pages. So, what he's doing, he's not moving with pace and kind of moving forward in where the Galaxy need him to. He's kind of holding it up in the middle a little bit too much. He needs to keep moving that ball forward.
Do you want your second clue while we're just getting ready to transition? It's time for the second clue for guessing. I didn't see it. I've been watching and I didn't see it. So here's your second clue for the Wikipedia guessing game. This one will be easier. It should be easier. They get easier as it goes. So here we go. Your second clue. Senior career for this player. 2012 Jersey Express. He had one appearance there. 2013 to 2014 New York Red Bulls U23. 2015-2017 Seattle Sounders, and then 2015-2016 in there as well. He was loaned out to Seattle Sounders FC2. So the 2018 to 2020 DC United, and of course 2021 the LA Galaxy. Those are your clues. I think that one gets you closer to where you should be. I think that one sort of starts to ring alarm bells.
I did see the name of this player in the chat. It was unrelated to the game.
Why do you do that? Well, you're giving them like, oh, I'm going to go back. There haven't been that many players listed.
Someone's going to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The last one should be pretty close.
Cameron.
2021 LA Galaxy. That's a pretty big.
Cameron is. Hold on. I'm supposed to do the
horn.
sounds.
Hit the horn.
There we go. Oh, good job, Cameron. Cameron. He says DC gives it away in Seattle. It is O'Neal Fisher was the answer for that. By the way, the final guess was that for his national team, he plays for Jamaica U20 and Jamaica. I was like, let's not get to that one, but it'll give it away.
If you guys had a little too much imported from Jamaica, you wouldn't have been able to figure it out by that point. So
Cameron,
we'll leave that at there. Good job, Cameron. Well
Cameron,
done.
send me an email, cornerofthegalaxy@gmail.com. Give me your address, all that type of stuff. I'll send you some stickers. All right. Good. Okay, so let's get to some post game. Let me pull up some Greg Vanney talk. People were upset. I actually enjoy whenever Greg Vanney goes against the grain on this stuff. He went very hard against the grain on everybody. Whenever he talks about his post game comments and sort of where he was at. Nikki K asked him the question, sort of what he made of the game, and so Greg has this wonderful answer. We'll play it.
Yeah, I was extremely proud of the fight, the work, the performance, the play, everything about it, except for we conceded 2 goals at 2 very bad moments within the game. But, I don't know a time in my history that a team has come into RSL, a Galaxy team especially, and dominated them this much. We had many chances. We only were able to get one. I think the fight that the guys showed each other and showed on the field today, and the way it ended, for me, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a big lesson and turning point for this group, because I feel a different energy in the locker room right now than I've ever felt this entire season. I hope it is, because this group laid out an incredible effort today. So,
all right, there we go. A little Greg Vanney afterwards. The different energy, Eric, is an interesting little tidbit, right? Because as we all saw, Roy Kent, whenever he of course was doing his commentating, he says, you're not in the locker room with this, guys. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening, right? Like the whole thing. Well, Greg Vanney is in the locker room. He does know what's going on. He does know what's happening. He can feel it. Chicharito said something similar afterwards as well. Jonathan Bond was shell-shocked like I haven't seen a player shell-shocked. And I thought, if you want to talk about the guy who really sort of got what it meant to feel like to lose to RSL, Jonathan Bond hit that on the head. With all that.
He wore that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But to Vanney's point, I think that also is a clue to how frustrating Sunday's loss to Austin was. Because when you look at a team, yes, we don't know what goes on in the locker room, but if they came out on Wednesday and just looked flat, they would be a defeated team. But they came out and they rebounded. They were angry. They wanted those goals. They came out with that energy. And Vanney mentioned it. There was a different energy in the locker room. So that tells you that they responded. So they were hurt, they were wounded, and they were up to the challenge. They responded to it. And so that's a good sign, as bad as the result was. And it was 2 inopportune times worst times you have to concede a goal right before the half and right in stoppage time. It doesn't get much worse than that. And so it hurts. It was really a loss that stung yesterday.
The change of energy, though, it just means it means so little yet so much, right? It's abstract. It's not something you can sort of put your finger on. By the way, Jose gave us $5 super chat. I want to answer Jose's question in a second. I want to get to Greg Vanney and sort of what he said as well, because I think I asked a little bit. I said, you can talk and I don't know, you can go listen to me ask the question. It's on the total video. I won't do it. But I said, basically, Greg, you can talk about all these positive things, but winless in the last 8, 3-game losing streak, you're worst. You're only 4 points, 5 points, 4 points out of being completely out of the playoffs right now. So this is the lowest point for the LA Galaxy. We assume it's the lowest point. Lose to LAFC this weekend, that will be the lowest point. But this is the lowest point for the LA Galaxy. You can talk positivity, but what's the assessment there? This is the lowest point. You can say it's positive, so how you go? And so this was, I asked him if that was a fair assessment. He said he thought that it was, and then he said this.
As I said, it's, we've been on a road stretch and we haven't been able to get the first goal, and, we've missed a number of chances. But as I said to you, we're a group. We have to find the way to actually win the game, the big game, and, the big game. But it starts with, I think it starts with the commitment and the effort that the group put in tonight for 97 minutes. And you perform like that, I truly believe you're going to win a lot more games than you lose. Sometimes you lose. That's football. It's the way it is. And, they got a couple chances. They scored a couple goals. The last goal's a worldie of a finish when he flips it up over somebody's head and he scores. What the hell are you going to do about that, right? It's football. They made a play. We didn't make a couple other plays where we had chances. But, what we take from this game, and I thought again for much of the performance in Austin, was I think we are finding our form, we're finding our rhythm. We need to still complete the final action a few more times, but I think if we can keep performing like we did tonight, this is going to turn. The winds are going to turn. We're going to get more balls in the back of the net, and the momentum will shift in our favor. And I firmly believe that. And the guys put in a hell of an effort.
All right, there you go, little Greg Vanney. For you after the game. You can watch that full press conference, by the way, cornerofthegalaxy.com, over on our YouTube channel as well. It's there. Jose, $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Jose says, I see more fight in Grand Sur and Joveljic. Why do you think Vanney leans on Cabral and Alvarez more than those guys? Am I missing something? Yes. And you actually keyed it. And
why do you got to play like that?
Yeah, I know.
Jose, he paid $4.99.
I know he did.
Come on, be polite, Joshua.
But he's asking the correct question though. Okay. Am I missing something? Yes, you are. And this is something I learned playing baseball, and it's something I learned watching baseball. And I was a better baseball player than I ever was a soccer player. I know that surprises everybody. I wasn't a very good soccer player. I was an okay soccer player, but I was a better baseball player. And there used to be a player for the Angels, Garrett Anderson. And I couldn't stand him because it always looked like he wasn't trying, right? It always looked, Garrett Anderson lollygags out in the outfield. He lollygags down to first base. The whole deal. Yes, it's a Bull Durham sketch, but it's also what I always thought of Garrett Anderson. And eventually somebody put out some stats on him and how fast he actually is. His smoothness is fast. So you're looking at two guys like Grandsir and Joveljic who are max effort guys. That's great. Ramon Alessandrini was a max effort guy. You know who wasn't a max effort guy sometimes? Landon Donovan. Not a max effort guy, right?
Chose his moments.
Yeah, chose his moments. He coasted whenever he could. He understood times to take breaks. You get it. Now, Cabral is not at that level, and I don't want to compare him to Landon Donovan, but he is a coaster. He is a guy who doesn't look like he's running hard, but he is a smooth runner. Alvarez is the same way. Alvarez is not fast. He's quick. He gets up to speed quickly. He's actually very good on his body position. And so you have to understand that not everybody looks the same, right? And so I would say that with Cabral. Cabral has, again, better goals plus assists than Grandsir. All right. So if you're going to play by straight stats, then you're playing Cabral. So the reason he's putting him out there is when Cabral gets, and we talked about this already, Cabral gets in to places that Grandsir doesn't. He makes runs that Grandsir doesn't. Now, Grandsir does things that Cabral doesn't do. In the one-on-one game, Grandsir is a better one-on-one player. He's not great, but he's better.
I'd say it's pretty close, though. Cabral also has taken some defenders one-on-one and made them look foolish. They're similar to me on taking play. But the fact that they're not afraid to take players on one-on-one, that's similar.
Yeah, and then Joveljic is no nonsense, right? No nonsense guy. I will run through a brick wall. I will do this. I mean, we can make the sort of Eastern Bloc jokes about him, but he's very single-minded. I'm going to score goals. That's what I do. That's it. Done. Yeah. We're done discussing this. There's no more to talk about.
I think at halftime he chews on tin cans. I think I saw that as a special on Joveljic. But to go back to answer that question as well, Vanney leaning on Cabral. Well, he's leaning on Grenzer. He put Grenzer in the position to start. So there's that piece there. And you mentioned also, why Joveljic probably isn't getting that love. Chicharito's the starter. You're not going to start him over Chicharito. If you're playing with the one striker system, and you have to choose between Chicharito and Joveljic, you're going to choose Chicharito every time. And so I think that's why you're not seeing Vanney pull the trigger on him and getting him on the field unless we see that 4-4-2 this weekend.
How's the power going over there in Texas? We're going to go late. I want to make sure they're not going to switch everything off.
I'm good to go. I got all the lights plugged in. Yeah, power grid.
Okay.
Is there an issue with the power grid? I haven't heard. I
haven't heard. I don't know. So ask Ted Cruz.
Are things bad around here?
Yeah, I've heard that, hey, it's not great in California a lot of times too. So let's not pretend. Don't bury your head in the sand about the power grid. But
to be fair, the one time the power has gone out of me is when I was recording from California. So just got to throw that out there.
Yeah, but I know where you were at, and I would expect that from that city.
Yeah, so armpit of the state.
It is absolutely one of those places. So anyway, that's it. Because the only reason I say that is because we're going to go long tonight. It was Landon. He interrupted our whole show. Gosh darn it, Landon. How dare you? So anyway, I sit there. Listen, there were guys who didn't have great games. I thought Depew was okay. I thought Koulibaly was okay in bulk, right? In momentary little minute, they had problems. The problem with defenders is that in momentary little moments, that's when goals get scored. The problem with midfielders is that you can get away with that sometimes. Forwards can fail 9 times out of 10. They score a goal. Look at Chicharito. He had 5 or 6 chances and he got 1. And good job, Chicharito. Everybody's happy. And that type of thing. Overall, I hear what Greg Vanney is saying. I hear what Chicharito is saying. This frustration that you're seeing with the Galaxy is still productive, right? I don't think it's a negative frustration, and that can easily be the case, right? You're working so hard, you do everything. The effort that team put out to not get any results could have killed this team. And Vanney says it did the opposite. That's a good sign if you trust what Greg Vanney is saying. I do. I don't think we've been led astray by him yet. Trust that process, and I know trust the process is sort of one of those things to you can't say, but trust it. It is kind of frustration is a real thing for this Galaxy team that you have to guard against. So watch that as we continue.
And I also think that's why it was a fair question to say, is this the lowest point? I think a 3-game losing streak, go into your rivals, another El Trafico, to a team that's also limping in to this weekend. So if you lose to your rivals at home, make it a 4-game losing streak, winless in 9. I think that definitely is the low point. And then you have 2 weeks to kind of stew in that frustration. And I think that's where that would be the low point. And that's where you maybe hit the panic button and start, start making your vacation plans early. Maybe don't worry about the playoffs, set your reminders, start making your plans in November that you're not going to be watching Galaxy games. I think that's when those sirens can go off. So it's a big game this Sunday, because that could mark a low point for the Galaxy if they don't figure out how to finish these chances.
You must believe, you must trust, you must do all of these things. These are very important things that you have to do. And by the way, if you're guessing secret words, I want to hear secret word and the guess, because you guys start throwing walls against the word. It's spaghetti out there.
Tiddlywinks. Tiddlywinks.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's going to get us banned.
It will eventually. That's where it is. I don't think there's any other stuff that we have seen in this game that we need to go over. It does raise some questions for me, though. And the things that raise the questions for me are, will the Galaxy, make the playoffs? What does the future hold for Sebastian Lletget? What does this Galaxy midfield look like in 22, and who is still there? I'm telling you, that's going to be the biggest change, is going to be what happens in the midfield. One, because I believe Jonathan Dos Santos is on his way out and a designated player spot is going to be open. So what kind of DP do you need? All of these things are big sort of questions. And then, Eric, I remember Galaxy fans after 2020 talking about 2021. And they were saying, their hopes when the Greg Vanney was announced was, Greg can get the LA Galaxy to the playoffs. They are currently in a playoff position. And having said that, you can't sit there and try to now suddenly move the goalposts. Well, they should be past the first round. This team is good enough. This team is not good enough. Well, I think we're proving that this team is not good enough yet.
I'll push back because we had this discussion at the beginning of the season after Chicharito's hot start as well. With the 10 goals in 10 games, we said, okay, now 10 goals in 10 games. Is 20 goals crazy? Is 25 goals crazy? And you move the goalpost because of how you started. And so I think that's what happened is they had a hard start. So you say, if you would have asked me at the beginning of September, are the Galaxy going to make the playoffs? Are you crazy? Of course they're going to make the playoffs. It's just going to be a matter of, can they get that home game? But now it's definitely getting a little squeakier, getting a lot tighter. The teams in front of them are creating distance. And so I don't feel as good about making the playoffs now as I did at the beginning of the month because they walked away with 2 points in September, and that's not good enough to stay above that home line. Maybe enough because other Western Conference teams are going to beat each other up, but you also don't want the teams in front of you to create so much separation that you're now going to you allow teams like Houston and Dallas and Austin to spoil your party, and mention all the Texas teams there to spoil your party when they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to benefit from leaping ahead of you. They're just going to end up, hanging onto your leg and kind of messing up your game. So I just feel uneasy about it. I think you're right. At the beginning of the season, we said 5th place, 6th place, we'd be happy with that. Right now they sit in 6th place. Yeah, if they're able to hold that spot, we'd be happy. But they had the 4th place spot. They had a home playoff game that they could have coasted if they just went split the points, go in the middle. You don't have to win them all, but just maintain, and they haven't been able to maintain their ground, and that's the scary part.
Patrick, make another guess. I'm trying to get the secret word thing over with. It's starting to annoy me, especially because people are throwing stuff. It's like every weird word we say, they're usually not weird words. So I have seen it. I just need an official guess.
Yeah. It's just frustrating seeing all these guesses that they're making that they just keep missing it.
Yeah, that is whatever. It's again, it gets me angry, and then I sit here. This is what happens in a weird way whenever I start getting blamed for LA Galaxy stuff. By the way, I think I actually take that, and I'm like, "Are you have to be kidding me?" Like I sit there, I spent, and why is it that the people on Facebook, Eric? Why is it the people on Facebook have the worst takes? Like it's just a general thing. Like I can deal with people on Twitter all day. It's like, oh yeah, this is easy, blah blah blah. Go on Facebook, and I'm like, where is this coming from? I have no idea. Ugh.
You said it right. It's on Facebook. Have you?
I know.
Have you been on Facebook since in the last 5 years?
I know.
I think it speaks for itself.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Galaxy will make the playoffs. I'm still actually. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I did make a bet with somebody. Somebody was like, "Well, they're not going to make the playoffs."
It.
I'm like, well, I mean, I'm betting for it. I don't know.
Okay.
Guaranteeing.
All right.
Panda makes the guarantees that don't come through.
Wait, you want to hit the buzzer?
I mean, I don't know. I feel bad about it now, because Patrick had it. And now Cameron is trying to double up and steal it.
Cameron's already got some prizes, and Patrick was next in line. I think we're good there.
Okay, so Cameron, you don't win both. Patrick, we're going to give it to you. The secret word is frustration. And boy, was this week frustrating. And the frustration was real for the LA Galaxy. So Patrick sent me an email. Thank you very much. Thanks for playing. Hopefully you guys like this game. I don't know. Sometimes I think that I get too carried away with it and I don't pay attention. So I do a lot of things in here anyway. So that's what it is. Sebastian Leggett, is he here next year?
Yeah, he'll be here next year.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy. What's the LA Galaxy? Did the Galaxy go out? If you're gonna say designated player, you go out and get a designated player. I don't care. You don't give me a name because that's a useless exercise right now. But what position do they need?
So I've been saying this since I've been coming on the show. The Galaxy still need a cam. And so I'm going to modify that a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that they need a cam. They need a playmaker. And so that doesn't necessarily need to be someone who's in the middle of the field, but it does need to be someone who's capable of creating plays and finishing. They need to have those two. Can't be someone like we're seeing with Grand Sur who looks like they're just going to be able to create. The finishing's not there. Can't be someone like Chicharito who the finishing's there, but they're not pulling the strings. They're the final step. They need someone who's going to be able to create in the midfield, move in transition, and then either dish off or be able to bury it like a Giovinco type when he was in his prime. Someone who's they're part of the attack. They're pulling the strings. They're the playmakers. It's also not going to be a popular thing if I say this, but I am going to say it. There's a guy who's across town who hasn't been playing in a lot of games, but when he was in his prime, he was pulling all the strings. The goals were coming. He was getting the goals, and he was creating the goals for one of our rival teams here. So I'm not going to mention it because I don't like to give them credit. But he was a playmaker. So maybe not a cam, but they were someone who pulled all the strings. That's the type of player they need. Generally, that's usually a cam. That's a central attacking midfielder, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It just needs to be someone who's capable of finishing and capable of setting up other players and creating transition play. Because the Galaxy have shown they're going to work best when they're in transition. So they need someone who's going to be the antithesis of what the Jet was yesterday. Instead of stopping the play, and Dos Santos, who's done it a lot, stopping the play, playing it back to the center backs and they need someone to break and move forward and find that open runner, find Chicharito in front of the goal. That's what we need.
Yeah. By the way, Eddie said that, you need a young playmaker, and I absolutely disagree with that. It doesn't have to be young. In fact, it can actually be somebody who only has maybe 3 or 4 years left in their career. Yeah. You need a somebody who is a proven scorer that can a proven commodity. Somebody who can create. I agree with you. It's a central attacking midfielder is the correct answer.
Yeah. Well, David mentioned it. It's someone like Luka Modric.
Mm-hmm.
That's someone. He's not a young player, but they can create. He's going to dish it off. He knows how to finish. That's the type of player. And yeah, he's older, but I take Modric for 2 or 3 seasons. He's still going to be able to create havoc in Major League Soccer. So that's the type of player I think the Galaxy should be looking at.
He has a PR issue, doesn't he? He's a public relations issue that I don't think is going to go over well. So that's there.
Who does it nowadays?
Yeah,
as a Portuguese American, there's a lot of bad news with some of these players.
Always is. All right, LA Galaxy doing the Landon Donovan celebration. Again, if you missed our Landon Donovan interview, catch that. It's at the very top of the show. Landon was great. Just an FYI, LA Galaxy 2 versus San Diego Loyal. It's a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. Dignity Health Sports Park season ticket holders, you can get your tickets for that, so you can go check that out. Landon will be coaching against the LA Galaxy 2, but that's okay. It's still going to be a fun night as all that goes on. Then, they're asking fans to show up around 2 p.m. to start for Landon Donovan's statue unveiling. I would imagine you want to be there a little bit before 2 p.m., FYI. They're asking the media to arrive around 2 p.m. I will be there around 2 p.m. The statue unveiling ceremony itself at Legends Plaza will kick at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Galaxy versus LAFC kicks at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and then Landon Donovan will be inducted into the Ring of Honor at halftime, and that's at about 5:57 p.m. or so. Not to get exact on anybody, but yeah, that's sort of where it sits for that one. So that's the schedule of events coming up. One of the things that I wanted to get to before we get too far into all of this is that the Galaxy arrived back in town late last night. Everybody was off today. Late last night, early this morning, really. They were off today. They'll be back on Friday for sort of a little bit of training, and then they'll go through a walkthrough on Saturday, and then they'll train on Sunday. Again, our media call is on Friday, so right around noon plus about 30 or 45 minutes. That's usually whenever we have those. That time can always change, so you can expect some updates from Greg Vanney on anybody who's injured there. I think Chicharito will be talking, perhaps Sebastian Lletget as well. That's my understanding of who might be talking about that. The LA Galaxy's schedule coming up, though, Eric. We talked about it. 7 games left for the Galaxy. Those 7 games are an interesting little mix whenever you try to figure all this stuff out. Only because you're going to have games where you have 4 games at home, you have 3 games away. I went through here and I looked. I can get the LA Galaxy to 51 points. Is 51 points enough? 51 points is enough, right? That should put the LA Galaxy. Yeah. I don't know that it gets them the home playoff game that they want, but it puts them in the playoffs.
Yeah, 51 points gets them there.
Yeah. So I look at this game coming up and the LA Galaxy playing against LAFC. I'm going to say it's a win. I genuinely believe this. These two teams are like riding that. Somebody had the meme of them both on the Titanic and it was sinking. And that seems about right. Whenever you look at yeah.
The one I posted was a car accident. If it's like El Trafico, you have El Trafico instead of having a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, you have a 1984 Honda Civic and a 1988 Nissan Sentra that are just bumpers falling off, crashing into each other. It's bad news.
Yeah, it's not good. Now, somebody also said this might be the worst El Trafico ever. It does not matter. When do you the form of these teams does not matter. So don't focus on that. That's not something that you have to look. This will be pure chaos. It will be as crazy as you ever expected it to. Watch, this will be the game that ends 0-0.
This is Zubac's moment to shine.
Hey, the Chicha Whisperer, don't knock it. 7:30 p.m. The LA Galaxy will take on the Portland Timbers at home. Portland extremely hot right now, playing very well. I liked how the Galaxy played them both times they played them. There was the red card in the first one, but played really well up until that red card in Portland. They have them at home. They beat them at home before. I can't, in my mind, this is a draw, best case scenario. I'm going to say this is a very optimistic look. I imagine that they have turned the corner. I know we didn't see it against RSL, but the corner has been turned as far as I'm saying. They're looking into the corner to turn it as we speak. So if you're going with that, then that's what I'm saying. They head to Houston.
I'll jump back in there. The one thing also going for them, Portland is hot right now. I would not want to play Portland this weekend, but after the 13-day rest, Portland hopefully would have cooled off. Maybe, they can have their number there. So that's fair.
Go away to Houston. Galaxy never play well in Houston, so I gave them a win. Absolutely. LA Galaxy versus Dallas at home. Should be Dallas at home. They lose to Sporting Kansas City on the road. The
secret word is rude.
They lose to Sporting Kansas City. Here's an interesting one. Seattle. They go up to Seattle on 11-1. Now, if you just take that on its face value, say that's a loss. And as a matter of fact, I have it written down as a loss because it's Seattle and they're one of the best teams. What if they already clinched the playoffs? What if they already clinched their spot? There's 2 games left. They're one of the top teams. They're going to be good. Maybe they decide they're going to rest some people. Maybe something like that. So, I mean, I have it as a loss, just saying.
So like when they rested their players and went to Austin and stole 3 points that a Galaxy team couldn't beat?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
100%.
Fair enough. I'm just double checking what you're saying.
Austin's playing better now, by the way. FYI, I know nobody wants to hear that. No, there's an excuse. No, it's not an excuse. They are playing better. They got a number 9. That changed the way that they played significantly.
But to be fair, and again, this is something we talked about, and I'll mention it also, is that you have the benefit of being able to speak to Greg Vanney after the game and Chicharito, so you get it explained away to you, and we have to sit and stew with it. So
I feel better about it. Yes.
Yeah, you walk away saying, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm feeling good," and we just have to sit there and stew in it. So you do have that benefit. But
I know
Austin could be playing better, and they should have beat them.
Yeah, absolutely, they should have beat them. Yeah. Well, I mean, they played actually an okay game. That was not as good as the RSL game, by the way.
Correct.
And they've lost both those games. The result, I am 100% in agreement, is that don't tell me you're playing better while you're losing games. I don't care, right? It's one of those. If you're a fan that says that, I agree. I don't care, but you still have to know that is happening, right? You have to watch the games to know that is happening. So that's one of the things. So they lose to Seattle whenever they go up there, and then they beat Minnesota at home, and that gives them 13 points, which is 51 total points. Yeah, I mean, but that's optimistic, right? Now,
yeah, mine. You want to hear mine?
Yeah,
I'll just go quickly. I have this weekend a draw. Loss to Portland because of how Portland's playing.
How dare you draw this weekend?
We'll get into our predictions later.
Okay.
I think a win versus Dallas.
Okay.
At home.
Win versus Houston, right? Did you get the Houston one?
Sorry, draw versus Houston. I have a draw away at Houston.
Okay.
Like you said, they don't play. Then I have a win versus Dallas, a loss at Kansas City, loss at Seattle, and I think Minnesota is a tough one. That could be a draw, but I'll shift that to a win. And so I have them at 8 points. And so, 38 plus 8, 46. Is 46 enough?
It might be.
That gets scary.
There's enough. It's like everybody's cannibalizing each other right now. So there's a lot of that going around whenever you look at it. So I could see that being enough. It's enough right now to where they are. If they can sort of just get back on pace. And by the way, you can't lose the rest of your games to make the playoffs. Duh. That's one of those things. You're going to have to win some games. And I expect them to. They're not as bad as 8 games winless. I know that. I can see that. That being said, would I be surprised if they lost every single game on here on out? Yes. Yes, I would be surprised. They're playing better. So it's one of those to sort of watch. We'll see how it goes and sort of where that's out. If you're looking this weekend at who is playing and sort of what is going on across the league, Seattle's versus Colorado this weekend, Kansas City versus Houston, Colorado at Seattle, Portland versus Miami. That's a win for Portland. Portland's going to start clamming. Portland's going to clamber up into that top 4 spaces.
That's what I was talking about, the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Those top teams, the best game for us is the Colorado Seattle, because someone's going to drop points there. But those top teams, SKC, Portland, Seattle, that distance is just going to grow between them and the Galaxy.
Let's see. I think Salt Lake at Austin, LA Galaxy versus LAFC, Minnesota at Dallas, Vancouver versus San Jose, Dallas, Houston. I think we got them all. Yeah, that was all of them. So the Western Conference. So keep an eye on the Western Conference coming up. That's where you're going to watch all this. I asked Greg Vanney if you start watching the scoreboard now, and he's like, yeah, but just by the definition of it's getting closer to the end of the year. I like how he also told me, he goes, yeah, it's absolutely What did he say? He said something. He goes, "Oh yeah, at this time of the year, the table gets more clearer, and as we've seen, everything is getting more condensed, right?" And he goes, "And by clearer, I mean everybody's getting closer. Like we're seeing that clearly, that everybody's getting closer together and sort of stacking up against each other. So it's should be fun." By the way, Jay says, "What's the lowest points any team has gained and still made the playoffs?"
I want to say it's in the low 40s.
I
think
feel like
we've had this discussion in 2019, oddly enough.
I feel like it is, and I will say that with the number of teams you have in the Western Conference, there's a better chance of it being a lower point team that makes it sort of into the playoffs. So yeah, that's sort of where we have it there. Let's talk about El Trafico a little bit.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Oh yeah, we have El Trafico.
Oh my God, these two teams are they're like you want to talk about backsliding into something. Like there is just no way on God's green earth that either of these two teams are playing good soccer right now. They're not. By the way, I would like to shout this one out. This is going to be an interesting one. ESPN game, by the way, 5 p.m. Pacific time is when when it says it's going to start. It says kickoff is 5 p.m.
Wow.
I don't
How European of them.
Yeah, I know. Somebody asked if the Galaxy are the last game of the weekend. No, they're second to last game of the weekend because I think Seattle plays after the Galaxy start that game. So there's a bunch really interesting sort of storylines. I actually went on an LAFC podcast to talk about this game. And they were sort of asking Eric, it was funny. They're like, well, will we ever see the Chicharito and Vela game that everybody wanted? I'm like, no, you're not going to, because even if Vela comes back, which he's been injured and he's been rumored to be coming back for this. And they brought up the stat, which I think this is the third time he will come back for an El Trafico, and none of that has worked out well for them.
Yeah.
So just that.
I hope he comes back. Yeah. Yeah. And the team's already messed up. He comes back and messes up the chemistry even more. Yeah. That would be, I'd love for him to come back, but you're right. I don't think we're going to see this. It's just cursed MLS. We're not going to see this Chicharito versus Vela thing that we've been waiting for. We'll see Chicho versus Chicha, but not Vela versus Chicharito.
One of my favorite jokes is somebody said, LAFC got a Chicho and they're hoping that people won't notice. It's like, it's so close. They won't notice, that type of thing. Listen, Chicho is a good player. He can score some goals. He has a lot of energy. He does a whole bunch of things. We talk about Vela coming back. We talk about Atuesta coming back as well. So, I mean, they're getting some pieces back that should make them a better team, because if you've watched them, they lack talent right now, which is not something that you have seen from LAFC so far in their tenure. And their defense is as shaky / more shaky than the LA Galaxy's. It won't show on the scoreboard, but if you've watched them in recent time, I mean, the second goal that Portland scored was as simple as a defender ran past the ball and didn't get to where it was supposed to be.
And that's the thing with where you go in feeling a little bit better, is that defensively their style, they like to push forward just like the Galaxy likes to push forward. So that's going to leave openings. You're going to, I like the Galaxy's wingers in a foot race against those LAFC defenders. Like you said, Portland was easily be able to just, walk right past them. And then that strike, that's also something I wanted to mention. The strike by Asprilla in that game, if you switched over after the Galaxy, if you weren't sad enough and didn't go straight to bed and you switched over, he hit that with such pace. And that's what the Galaxy's missing, with Cabral and Grandsir and Chicharito. No one is striking the guts out of a ball, and I just like to see that. I think Joveljic is probably the closest to doing something like that, but that's what I want to see. I want to see a banger.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to see goals in this. Last time, by the way, the LA Galaxy led in the game was against LAFC. The 3-3 draw at Bank of California Stadium, that was the Galaxy scored first. That's the last time they scored first in a game, too. And we can talk about that real quick because I have the stats and I wanted to share them again. But as it stands right now, even after the RSL game, the LA Galaxy are 1-9-3 when they allow the first game and they get outscored 3-1, Eric. 3-1. 29 goals against 10 goals for. When the Galaxy score first, so simple. They are 10-2-2, and the last time they did that was against LAFC. They scored first, and they ended up getting a draw out of it. And when they do that, they outscore basically their opponent 2-1, 28-15. All right, this is, I mean, again, and we joked about it on Monday. The expert analysis is score first.
So it's so simple, but also it changes how you play. You see with Real Salt Lake as well. The Galaxy dominated that first half, and so when the goal happened in the second half, RSL had that cushion. They were able to kind of hang back a little bit more. And so the Galaxy, again, continued to possess, But, RSL was stacking the box. Chicharito, like you said, the chance was really created out of nothing. The defenders were in position. It just Chicharito created the space and scored. But it changes how the other team plays. So when they don't score first, obviously the other team's going to park the bus, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to break them down. So it's a no-brainer. But you want to see them score first. Let's score first, especially against LAFC. Historically, in El Trafico's, the LA Galaxy doesn't like to come out and score first, usually, with a few exceptions aside.
Right. No, I mean, you can see that for sure. And so, I mean, whenever you look at the LA Galaxy and you're trying to figure out what they're trying to do, especially in this game, is I mean, this feels like all the pent up energy and all the anger and all the frustration, and you're giving them this chance to go and just throw it all against the wall. I mean,
don't do this. Don't do this to me, Josh.
Don't
Eric, give me hope.
Eric, I mean, and that's sort of the thing that we look at so much with this Galaxy team, is that they are capable of doing this, right? We have seen them be capable of scoring goals. We've seen this early in the first, part of this season. All of these things are real things that we have seen them be able to do. And there's absolutely no reason, seeing how they played against RSL. And I know some people just grab their chest. I know I'm making people angry. It actually it gives me little tingles inside. Like, just that I know I'm making people angry. If you watch how they played against RSL, if they apply that same level to what they're going to do at home, and you always have to ask what the difference is between an El Trafico game. And first of all, throw everything out. It doesn't matter what their records are. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. But the difference tends to be that at home, the LA Galaxy and El Trafico win games. LAFC has never beaten them at home. That's something that's on the line.
Don't do that. Don't do this, Josh.
You have to. You have to
say it out loud.
You have to say. I have no power over the LA Galaxy. I don't jinx anything. It's impossible for me to jinx anything.
But to go back, the loss against Minnesota, and then the loss against Austin, I told myself, not going to get my hopes up. They didn't show up. They didn't create chances. So against RSL, I was like, you know what? They're going to lose this game. It's midweek. It's away. They're going to lose it. And then you watch that first half, and it's like, okay, maybe they can win this. I have a little bit of hope. And then, just to have my heart ripped out again. So that's the frustrating thing, is, back to the bonus word there. Now, again, you're right. This could be the game, the Stan Marsh, where it's all over the place, just an explosion.
Vanney already told you.
This could be the game. And that's that's what drives me crazy, is because it could be. But also let's look at the form guide. The form guide tells me don't expect a win. Don't expect them. That's why my prediction is a draw, like a 1-1 draw.
Roulette.
You can't expect a lot of goals.
Roulette theory. I'm calling it out right now. Roulette theory. You can't keep losing games. It doesn't make sense. It goes against the odds. It goes against everything they said. It's been red. It's gonna come up black. This is the time it comes up black. I think that all of this. There was, if you'll remember, and I think maybe it was 2014 season, LA Galaxy on the road, playing against Colorado. It's either 2014 or 2012. It's one of those. They're on the road playing against Colorado. The Galaxy are down, I think, 3-0 or 2-0 at halftime. I think it's 3-0. 3-0 at halftime. Bruce Arena.
Okay, I do remember this.
Yes. Bruce Arena comes out of the halftime. He goes over to Kelly Tennant. Kelly Tennant was on the sideline at this point. And she's like, Bruce, what do you need to see from this team? And he sits there and he goes, I think we're going to see a reaction from this team. I think you're going to see something. He goes, I think this is going to be the start of something. This is going to be something that happens, right? And by the way, this is in the summertime. Okay, we talk about the LA Galaxy in 2014 and how like they didn't get sort of started at the right time and the whole deal, and they sort of coasted into it.
Peaked at the right time.
2014. They hit summer and they took off. Right, this is like August and they took off and they come out and I think they scored 4 goals. They ended up winning the game 4-3 in Colorado and the whole deal. Greg Vanney already telegraphed it. He told you something's different in the locker room. There's an understanding. Things clicked. They didn't click 100%, but it's starting to get there. By the way, do you have a game preview? Are we going to try this live?
I can. I mean, if there's a super chat, maybe I could do it. But speaking of the odds,
yes, give me the odds.
What 538 says.
By the way, hold on. Let me sell this well. $5 for Eric to go ahead and do a dramatic game preview. We will do it live, even though it doesn't always work out great. We're going to do it live for it, but we're going to do it. So, and by the way, Jay says roulette rule, but for which team though? Very, very good, very good argument against
that's fair.
The whole thing.
That's fair. It's going to go green.
Yeah,
double zeros.
Double zeros. Everybody loses. Loser. But what do the odds say?
538 has the LA Galaxy as an underdog at home against LAFC. 35% chance to win. They're giving LAFC a 40% chance to win, 25% for a draw. If you go to Bovada, it's plus 150 for the Galaxy to win, plus 160 for LAFC. So Vegas says it's about a coin flip. They're giving the Galaxy a slight edge.
Right.
But draw, all signs point, maybe draw is the way to go.
Magic 8 Ball says a draw, huh? I don't know. Somebody wrote in, by the way, and said, by the way, I'll pat myself on the back before I definitely agree with this criticism that we do a great job here on the Corner of the Galaxy, giving you the analysis of what has happened, but maybe not always do a great job of sort of previewing what's going to happen against, a team like LAFC or, just looking at sort of where the Galaxy and who the Galaxy's opponent is. I think we've talked a little bit about it, but LAFC really is one of those quick passing possession teams, but likes to get out and cheat on offense. They are very much a mirror of what the LA Galaxy do, and I know you talked about that so much. And so for me, I want to say that the LA Galaxy go and start with this 4-4-2 and just say, screw it. We're going for it. We're going to score the first goal, and we're going to make them try to match our energy, and we're going to make them try to do all of these things that are sort of happening. And I don't know that Greg Vanney is going to be as sort of forward facing as maybe I would be, and just me on FIFA is like everybody forward. Don't worry, we'll worry about that.
And you see it with Julian. Araujo basically lives outside the 18-yard box. I mean, he's always up there. So the Galaxy likes to cheat up there as well. So there's an opportunity for them to capitalize.
I guess nobody wants to hear your. I
can do it anyway.
Why? No, I was going to play it up. Right. Oh, then I guess you won't get a dramatic game preview for this. I mean, we haven't done one in like a couple months because it doesn't always work well whenever we do it live. That's the reason. And then everybody's just going to sit on their wallets like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, now's the time. Be a team player.
Some good super chat throughout the hour.
We have. Be a team player. Come on, everybody needs to help out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I will hit the button for the music that I had to figure out where it was because we haven't used it for a while. So I got it. Here we go. LA Galaxy versus LAFC coming up 5 p.m. This game is ESPN. Is it ESPN? I need to check that. I will check it. I will check it while Eric is doing his thing. So
it won't be a Spectrum game, that's for sure.
I know it's nationally televised. I just don't know if it's like on big ABC or something like that. Sometimes they do that. All right, here we go. LA Galaxy, LAFC, third time El Trafico.
To all my fellow G's, we've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're not too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the games, and we got to get to the playoffs. So I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. I want you to know that we're never going to give you up. We're never going to let you down. We're never going to run around and desert you. We're never going to make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. Never going to tell a lie or hurt you. So now it's your turn, LA Galaxy, to rickroll into Dignity Health Sports Park and show us that you're never going to give us up. You're never going to let us down. And you're not going to run around and make us cry and don't say goodbye to our playoff chances.
Ooh, I like it. You rickrolled me. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I appreciate it.
I thought it was fitting, with the Ted Lasso energy that I'm bringing. I thought kind of tied in. I love a good Rickroll, so I had to throw it in there.
Do you want to tell everybody why you have a Richmond jersey, and do you want to do it without being a total diva about it? I'm just asking, because whenever you sent it to us, you were like, "Hey, look what I got," and you're showing it up and down, and we didn't need that picture of you in your underwear either. But thank you for that. So continue.
The fact that it was in front of a mirror, pure accident. I can assure you.
I'm sure.
Basically, as we've been known to go hard for Ted Lasso on this show and obviously on Twitter, I've made my TikTok dance with Ted Lasso, kind of a side by side, tweeting about the show, talking about it. So I got a, direct message from Apple TV. They said, "Hey, notice you're a super fan of the show. We'd love to send you something. Send us your address." So I got a nice little loot crate. You can kind of see the box behind me. Came with a jersey, a visor, a Richmond scarf, nice high quality Richmond scarf. So it just shows the magic of Ted Lasso and how, makes you feel good, and obviously with all the Emmys they won, people are on the Ted Lasso train. So I was glad to get a nice little freebie here. And some people were asking, how do I get one? I guess it is a loot crate. You can get it on your own. You can purchase it. They are available. But I was fortunate enough to be one of the lucky fans to get it sent to me. So again, not to rub it in, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I have a scarf coming too. I didn't want everybody to think that I didn't have I have a scarf coming too. I mean, I had to pay for it, but I have one coming. It's coming. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Eduardo and Roger, both super chat
There we
heroes.
go. Shout out to you, Eduardo and Roger. Thank you so much.
We salute you, sirs. We appreciate that. Game on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Thank you, chat room, for the getting that. Also looked it up while Eric was doing his thing. And Jay gave you a $5 super chat and says, "Bravo, Hammer, you just rickrolled the listeners live. Congratulations. Very good. Anything else that you want to cover? Oh, we want to get predictions, huh? Predictions for this game. I will go first this time because you so often steal mine. I know you're calling a draw too, so this won't be hard. 70-1, I believe, for the LA Galaxy. I feel there's a lot of pent up aggression in this. 13 red cards in this game as well, which is a lot. I understand. No, seriously, 3-2 win for the LA Galaxy. It will not be pretty. I actually think that there will be some pretty goals scored in this, but neither of these teams knows how to play defense. And both of them like to cheat forward. And so one person will score, and then the other person will score, and then it'll go back and forth and back and forth. I could also, there is, the sort of the me watching progression through these games. I feel like there's some pent up goals coming as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this tops 7 goals in total or 8 goals totals. Yeah, absolutely. Just, balls to the wall. Yeah, horrible balls, going all over the way. So I think the LA Galaxy win this game. I think this is a winnable game. I think LAFC is in a bad state. I think the Galaxy are in a better state just watching how they played. Although I think if you watch that LAFC game and Portland game, you could say a lot of domination by LAFC, but no finishing. And so I don't know, maybe these two teams can't find a goal. 0-0, right? It'll be one of those.
They're perfect for each other. And I've been kind of choreographing that everything seems like a draw based on the Vegas odds. 538 has them pretty close. And so I'm thinking a draw just seems like it just makes sense. These teams are, they're both on losing streaks. They're just not going to be able to get over the hump. But Greg Vanney has convinced me. You've convinced me. I'm going to go 3-2 Galaxy win. I think it's going to be close. We're going to see some goals. These teams are not going to pitch a shutout. We're going to see some goals. And I think Joveljic is going to do to LAFC what Ima Boateng did to RSL. He's going to be the LAFC guy. He's going to, score that banger that we've been waiting for. I think Joveljic is the guy who gets it done this weekend.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
you've convinced me. They're winning. It's done. It's in stone. The Galaxy are playing great. They haven't lost any games. We're going to win.
Do we know what uniform they're wearing? I guess we'll find out tomorrow, probably.
It'll be white.
You think they're going white versus black? You're not going to change anything? No.
You're not going to put an Austin on that and have the other team in light colors.
Yeah. Hey, again, LAFC have never beaten the LA Galaxy at Dignity Health Sports Park. Jinx. The LA Galaxy have not lost to LAFC this year. Jinx. They're one of only 2 teams now the LA Galaxy haven't lost to this year. The other one's Houston. Jinx. I'm trying to get them all out of the way because, I'm going to get blamed for them anyway. If
this is the reverse jinx. You say it so much that it goes in the opposite direction.
So that's where it is. All right. I guess that's it, Eric. I mean, we need to show. It feels like
an
we
hour
just
and 40 minutes.
We just started. We could go. We could go longer.
It's all good.
I would like to point out that if you're one of my Twitter followers, you can go ahead and check that out on Friday afternoons when I drive home from the office. I have about 15 minutes on my drive home, and I like to talk about the LA Galaxy. By the way, Feel the Berm says white kits, and you're right. Yeah, so
it has to be.
Yeah, I understand that. But I do go on Twitter Spaces and have a little audio chat on Twitter Spaces all by myself, my lonesome. But you're more than welcome to join. I had about 20 people in there last time, so just sort of keep that an eye. Around 5 or so. Hopefully, I get off a little bit earlier, but that won't happen. So it's about 5 or so. And on my way home, as I drive back to my house, I will do a quick little chat. By the way, really, you should be tuning in because I will lose it if somebody cuts me off. Like I scream and shout at people whenever I'm driving. Not road rage. Like I won't go after anybody, but I really think people are morons. So. I will let it fly. So wait till that happens, and we'll sort of see how it goes. Big weekend. Landon Donovan going to be inducted into Legends Plaza there. Going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor for the LA Galaxy. He was on our show, which was still kind of crazy. I can't believe that happened.
And lived up to the hype. Humble guy. Told the great stories. Just he was Landon Donovan. He was the Landon Donovan we've come to know and love. And he delivered on that. So shout out to Landon.
Yeah, I mean,
a true legend.
it was one of these weird things that, I sent that email a week ago and it's like, I'll never hear back, which, by the way, I don't blame him. I want people to know. It, yeah, it would have been fine.
He's kind of busy this week.
Yeah, he's very busy this week. And the fact that he stopped and came on the show just means so much. So it was a lot of fun. He's great. Landon has always been a great guy to talk to. I mean, throughout the years, I know people have all sorts of stories about him. I'll tell you that there's a lot of stuff you didn't see. Landon used to invite kids back, and a lot of times kids with disabilities or illnesses and that type of thing. He would invite them back, and they wouldn't get let in through the locker room. They would lead them through the backside, and Landon would spend a lot of his time after games back with those kids. We couldn't see it, and I didn't know about it until somebody told me about it. It was not Landon. Landon didn't come out and say it, and there's no press, and there's no pictures about it, like that type of thing. If they took pictures, it was like on the phones of the parents who were there and that type of thing. Landon used to do that, and that was a consistent thing throughout the years that he would stop and take time to do that after the game, after a win, a loss, or anything else. So, I feel like all the stories of Landon's kindness to people haven't been told. It's one of those, he's a very quiet guy, and he's never going to tell that story. That's not his style. That's not the way he goes. So, but it was truly special. And I get to cross this one off the list. Robbie Keane's next, by the way. I just want to know, like, if we're going on the list. I mean, if we're going, I'll send an email to Robbie tomorrow. If maybe I'm hitting my lucky streak. This could be it. I also thought about just quitting after this show. This could be it.
This would be a hell of a way to go out.
It would. By the way, approaching show number 900 in about 15 shows or so. We're getting closer. I don't know where we're going to do anything. Again, not really there. But 1,000 is going to get next year. For 1,000, we're doing something.
I'll ship the confetti cannon, so they're there and they're ready to go.
I still find confetti from show 700. It was 700 or 600?
It was 700.
700. Yeah. Okay, 700. I still find confetti from 700. In the office, it's still there all the time. All right, I think about it does it. We've rambled, we've talked, we've given you predictions. LA Galaxy versus LAFC coming up this weekend, Sunday. LA Galaxy 2 game with Landon Donovan coaching for San Diego Loyal on Saturday night, 5 p.m. kickoff. That is an actual 5 p.m. kickoff time. It says 5 p.m. on the website. That hasn't been wrong all year, so make sure that you're there. It might be a little bit after, or it might be that type of thing, but keep an eye on that as we go forward to 5 p.m. kickoff. ESPN Deportes. Hopefully you have your tickets. If not, head to our Discord. Lots of people selling tickets in the Discord. More than welcome to go in there and check it out. You buy at your own risk. I'm not in charge of that. Somebody scams you, you go after them. I don't care. But just go in there, be respectful, get your tickets, show up to this game. Yes.
That being said, if you're going to buy, the Corner of the Galaxy Discord is one of the safer places you can probably go.
People get tickets. People get yelled at if they try to scam you in there. Like I let it go. It's sort of, I'm a free market sort of guy. You get, like if they're charging $1,000 per ticket, don't buy the tickets. Like, that type of thing. But yeah, so head over to the Discord. You can do that. And the link for that is always in our show notes as well. All right, we're done. I want to quit. Eric, anything else for you?
That's good. Show up, be loud. Let's go Galaxy. Let's get this win.
All right, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right, as always, you can find me on Twitter at HammerEV. You can also find me on Instagram at Galaxy Profile. That's Galaxy PROFOUL.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com. All of our interviews, articles, all that fun stuff. You can find it all right over cornerofthegalaxy.com. Head to our YouTube channel. In fact, everybody, if you're on this, you're watching our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our podcast. This is the time. It's National Podcast Day. We appreciate you. We like you. We're glad that you're here with us every single week, Mondays and Thursdays. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful, wonderful journey that we're on. Big thanks to Landon Donovan as well. Legend himself. He was on the show tonight. Super huge. He's inducted this weekend, Legends Plaza. All right, for Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Patrick Guesman. You've been listening, you've been watching to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.